that I learned once I started to look into the into trying to recreate the idea of building something for my son, and I realized that there was a technology out there so you can be able to emulate a lot of games, retro games, classical games like Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, all those games, that you can have multiple games in one machine. So, you know, instead of having a huge garage with 20 arcades, you can have just one arcade with
so are those like a chipset or something that you put in the game?
Everything is programmed in a computer. Okay. So that's when, you know, that's one of the things, you know, that happened to me, that all the things that I learned through my lifetime, programming, computers, designing, carpenter work, all those things helped me understand and be able to use my tools to create what I wanted to create. So all these games, they're put up into a computer, and you can play them, you know, without having the necessity to have so many. Yes.
One more.
Yes.
What's been like the most coolest game that you've built, or like the most outrageous request from like a celebrity or somebody?
Vincent, I'm Hazel.
Yes.
You just built an arcade machine for Albert and I.
Correct.
Tell them about our machine.
Okay, this is yeah, this is something that I enjoy. I promised that I was going to build. You know, I always choose one project every year to say this is the project of the year for me. You know, the last years I built an arcade for the Goonies, you know, for Jeff Cohen. And funny thing, before I jump into this other arcade, is that when I was doing that particular project, I had Jeff and Ken, you know, the fat kid from the Goonies, and the Chinese, the Asian kid from the Goonies. They both went to my shop, and we were playing video games in their machine. So, I mean, how cool is that, you know, to be with two people that they grew up in the 80s, and they were very representative persons in that era, you know, and be playing video games with me right there, you know, it was crazy. Now, coming back to the project that I just finished today, is I pitched the idea of building a Game of Thrones arcade.
Oh my God.
So they went for it, and they say, yeah, let's do it. You know, they're big fans, and believe me, I put all my heart into building something unique. I craft every single part of the arcade with all the inspiration and things that I wanted to do. I literally built the chair with all the melting sources in the bottom, and in the top you have the control panel, and then you have the screen. And every single thing that comes into the arcade is 100% customized by me. I don't have people that help me. Hopefully, you know, I end up growing and I can be another Disney telling a story one day and say, you know, this is how I started. But so far, you know, every single part of this arcade is being handcrafted, customized, the light guns and everything, you know, it integrates the whole concept, because that's when I get the designer that is inside of me, you know. Funny thing, you know, everybody asks me, how do you learn how to work with, you know, cut wood and build cabinets and all that stuff. And the story is that when I was a kid, my grandfather, my father, he didn't want me to be not doing anything on vacations. So he used to send me with my grandfather's friend, that he was a carpenter. But he was an old school carpenter. He didn't use nails or screws. Everything he was assembled by wood. I mean, he was old school. And he teach me how to, you know, I hated it back then. I never thought that all that knowledge, he was going to pay off someday, you know. So now I put all the elements, all the things that I have learned in life, you know, that's what I do, and I enjoy it, you know. Yes.
Hi, John Boyd from SoCal Tech Academy.
Yes.
So we're a coding school.
I'm just curious, what languages do you program the video games with?
Well, the good thing about programming is that you can pretty much do anything that you want. You can use any language. I mean, in reality, video gaming is international. I mean, it's everybody has that thing in common. That's one of the things that I love about my work, is that every single person that walks into my shop, right away, I get a connection with them because we have everything in common. I'm a nerd. You can see my shop. I have R2D. I mean, I have Star Wars figures all over my shop, and I have built life-size R2D2. I have. I mean, it looks like a toy shop, pretty much. But those are things that when I'm right there, I enjoy so much my time being there because I'm always creating something, and that's another thing that you have to always do is never say I already know everything. You have to always keep yourself learning. That's very important, because the more you learn, the better you get, and that's one of my goals, to keep growing as a human being and to keep inspiring people. I mean, I hate talking in public. I'm not good at it, but I thought that my story somehow if it can reach somebody and say, what, I mean, if this guy can do this, why not me, and if you can inspire somebody to take that step to do something with their lives, I think that's why we are all human beings, we have to help each other somehow,
So do you use JavaScript, Python?
Well, all these, there's programs that they're called emulators, and they pretty much recreate or translate all the language coming from the original Java board. So yeah, there's you can use Java to do some Flash games and stuff like that. But in reality, what you are doing is pretty much telling the motherboard how to run into operating system that is Windows. So it's not a complex thing. Oh, I guess I think that it's not complex.
Like what?
Yeah.
Very inspiring.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Any other questions for Vincent? You
Yes.
got one more.
From an injured worker's perspective, was there ever a point before you actually figured out, because it looks like your initial inspiration was your family, which is great,
Yes.
but was there ever a point before that you felt like you couldn't ask for help or seek for help, and if so, what got you out of there?
That's a good question. To tell you the truth, I was lost. I totally was scared. If I was on my own, I will say, I don't care even if I go homeless and I have to go to the streets. But when you have a family and you always be the provider, it was very hard. I started selling all the things that I possessed during my life, everything that I could get a hold on, and I started selling it, put yard sales. I was in a survival mode. And most of the time I was inside my house. Literally, there was times that that I was the whole week inside my house. I didn't know if it was day or not. That's how depressed and how bad I felt. But I realized that if it wasn't for me, even if my wife supported me, my kids supported me, you have to take that action yourself, and you have to believe in yourself. And you say, what, let's move on. You have to have that power in yourself, not only to do it for, like in my case, but you can also take that decision of look for help, look for somebody that can help you out if you can't do it yourself. I never had that choice, because I was, in a point that it was all the time in my house. But I'm pretty sure that if somebody would have told me, hey, you know what, go and look for these programs and they can help you doing this and that, probably would have done it. but I think that somebody has written certain story and path that they have to follow, because in my case, it worked for me the way it worked. Probably if I would have asked for help, I would have been, recovering and going back to work as a graphic designer again for somebody else, and nothing that I have built, it will exist. And so I think that every action has a reaction in life.
Any other questions?
I don't have a question, but I love your story.
Thank
Like,
you.
I'm going to cry.
Thank you.
And you are a very good speaker.
Yeah.
You are a very good speaker.
Thank you.
And it was very awesome to hear. What a beautiful story.
Thank
I
you.
like that.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much.